Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? What is a sensor? How is censorship defined? So, big progress in our derivation in terms of word forms, right? Reality, a prefix re, a suffix ality. We've derived and introduced and described, why does hyphenation exist? And so anything that ends in an ly, that's why you have a kind of cumbersome, hey, I want to put an ly on something. Do I put another L? Do I just keep one L and a Y? Do I use a hyphen at all? They're all naturally hyphenated. But we're describing and deriving this overall complete, unique form of iteration of language that's general past the meaning of one word or the one logical statement. Right? We have reality, we have coalition, was our big logical renormalization. It has no base, it has no empirical meaning past, like you can't break down the word anymore, coalitionality. And so coality, and now we're arriving at, right, what is verbiage, right? What is this complete word age at the end of a word as a suffix, like verbiage, like signage, and we'll get to another fun one. But that is our overall big step for this video. Is, again, the same overall linguistic progression and then just AGE, complete word as a suffix. So we continue along with our steps. My rights continue to be violated. I continue to ask for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. What is sensorality? What is a sensor? What is fitness to uniqueness? Sensorality is a unique fit. Sensorality is a good fit. Natural definition, direct iteration. Speciality is special with an ITY, can't change. Speciality is the natural tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism, can't change. Sensorality is the linguistic progression from speciality, so conceptually and linguistically, almost certainly, again, just because we haven't done it yet, has to relate back because of chronology. Sensorality has to relate to speciality. The operative word from the definition of speciality right now are our focus, uniqueness. Infinite uniqueness, endless differentiation, novelty. Sensorality is a good fit. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is fitting to setting? Fundamental theorem, consensus is popular sentiment. Natural definition. So now when we get these fundamental theorems that don't start with sensorality, right, we're going to produce, there's some sort of radiality, some sort of radial symmetry, there's some sort of containment, there's some sort of centralization. We're going to produce or absorb the syllables, the letters representing the sound and meaning of sensorality. And that is produced or is evidenced, we get these other word forms that are directly produced from our conceptual progress. Consensus is popular sentiment. Last episode, right, popularity. But it's a directly naturally defined statement. It's true. Consensus is popular sentiment. Sensorality is popularity. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is censorship popular? What is popularity to familiarity? What is functionality to familiarity? What is popularity to singularity? What is popularity to circularity? Are circles popular? Popularity is frequent. Sensorality is frequent uniqueness. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is frequency to fluency? Sensorality is frequent fluency. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is prudence to fluency? What is prudence to frequency? What is functionality to usability? Use of hyphen, emphasizing it's on your screen. Again, these, sometimes when we try to put ality at the end of the words, sometimes when we try to put ly at the end of the words, that's always a hyphen, ly. But some word forms, it feels like you can put ality or ability, and it feels like a structured word. Other times it doesn't. Emphasizing usability, usable is a phrase people use and say all of the time. I think there's a hyphen in there. Kind of a trivial analytical step, just highlighting anything along this analysis progress as we move along. Sensorality is usable. Sensorality is unstable. Direct iteration. Sensorality satiates stability. Direct iteration. What is stability to usability? Sensorality puts it to good use. Direct iteration. A use is a function. Natural definition. Last episode, we arrived logically and linguistically, again, at this consistency of functionality. If you put X into a quote-unquote function, it has to give you a consistent output. Right? If you say the same things, it has to give you a consistent response. Go to the store means the same thing to everybody. Do a backflip means the same thing to everybody. Again, if you understand English. But they don't mean the same thing. And so you have to have this consistency. That is what defines functionality. Is work useful? What is use to work? What is work to function? Is stress useful? What is stress to duress? Sensorality is distressing. I've mispronounced what is stress to distress. Sensorality is distressing. What is dressing to distressing? Sensorality is stressing. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality cannot stress this enough. Direct iteration. What is familiarity to finality? Again, from rhythm to algorithm produces linguistics, has conceptualization, and there's some sort of relationship of the symbolism, the letters relating rhythm, the concept, and the linguistic element to the rest of ontology. And there's a finite amount of unique statements that can be made at all. Right? That's what linguistic exhaustion is. We have some agreement from Waffles, our neighbor scholar. But again, we have a very direct framework. I have senses with an S. My microwave does not have sense with an S. Why does my microwave say it's a sensor? We have this censorship with a C that contains the letters of sensor with an S. But that's our overall conceptual proof is, again, what is the right spelling of censorship? What is sensorality? Our work, our productivity, our proof is a direct statement like speciality is special with an ITY. It gives us a new working definition. What is sensorality? What is the quality of being a sensor? And then there's a finite amount of unique statements you can make from the elementality of from rhythm to algorithm. 2 syllables, 4 syllables, and relating that syllability to the rest of ontology. And we're explicitly articulating all of the consistent logic between those two logical points. Sensorality bends, sensorality is bent, sensorality gets bent. Like all of academia, again, here is the law, it's directly on your screen, you continue to violate it, and you're terrible people. A curve is a bend. Natural definition. What is elevation to escalation? What is elevation to vibration? What is deviation to escalation? Emphasizing throughout our derivation, the sequentiality of the letter A specifically, specifically at the end of words, right? Ality is our empirical generalizing syllability. People say ality when they want to generalize something. And that brings with it an A linguistically, the letter. And so sometimes a word will have, the base word will have an A in it, and then we try to put ality, and that always feels extremely unnatural and cumbersome. The difference between E and A is I, our fundamental relationship of vowel and elements, the letter E, the letter I, and the letter A, and the sounds. But we have words like escalation, where that first 5 letters are directly and uniquely an iteration of scale, but in the natural word of escalation, we have 2 A's. Just pointing that out explicitly. It's some sort of, again, seeming paradox or seeming inconsistency. Putting ality, producing 2 A's doesn't feel like natural words, and then they're seemingly natural words with 2 A's. What's going on with that? What is scale to scalar? Sensorality is scalarity. Natural definition, direct iteration, a vector versus a scalar, a massive dichotomy presented to you in mathematics class. A magnitude and a direction. Well, we've pointed out what everything has a direction. What is this dichotomy? Again, emphasizing that. What is escalation to dissension? Sensorality is dissensionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is dissension to tension? What is condescension to tension? Sensorality is ascensionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is ascension to appreciation? What is ascension to arson? Sensorality goes up in smoke. Direct iteration. Sensorality wants all the going up in smoke. Direct iteration. Sensorality chokes on smoke. Direct iteration. Sensorality is the quality of infinity. Right? Infinity is not measurable. It's an awareness physically, again, of constant growth, a minimum growth and a maximum growth. And then we have linguistic representation, but you can't count infinity, right? Sensorality is an easy one. This is an easy one. It's sensorality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is fairness finite? What is fairness to uniqueness? What is uniqueness to completeness? Sensorality is consistent communication. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is fluency to consistency? What is determinacy to dependency? Is indefinite indeterminate? Sensorality is undefined, direct iteration, literally, we're trying to stabilize its definition, showing its unique iteration, which is, again, all structured analytical statements. You've just not seen analysis before. This is like saying we're going to say 1 + 1 = 2, and everyone's in class is like, what's addition? It's like, okay, we're going to keep, come on, class, come on, Terrence. Let's pick up, buddy. But sensorality currently is literally undefined, again, to me, and I know science team has stolen my property as always. Sensorality is how definition is determined. Direct iteration. This fundamental association of sound to meaning, and then there's conceptual progress, and you can't use up the same linguistics to concepts that has previously been established. All of this definiteness, all of this all of this definiteness in language, conceptual certainty, comes from, again, there is no absolute meaning, but there is complete meaning within a local system. Energy is energy, work is work, power is power, but power didn't have to be power, energy didn't have to be energy, and this overall process of science is consolidating information in systems tending to optimal efficiency. Where are we at? Sensorality undermines determination. Sensorality is the uniqueness of definition. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, if you had to say one empirical fact that produces one axiom, because again, we have this complete linguistic containment, speciality is special with an ITY, it's the only axiomatic derivation that's ever occurred. And it contains all of the sequential progress that was contained within that derivation. And so, sensorality is differentiates definition, but what else was I going to say? Just moving along, I lost what I was going to say. What is differentiation to contemplation? Sensorality is contemplationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is enticement. Entirely entice. What is enticement to enchantment? Enchanting is charming. Sensorality is a charming chant. What is chanting to chatting? Is chatting conversing? What is inversing to conversing? Sensorality is versing. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is convening to conversing? Sensorality is a proper scale. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality scales properly. Direct iteration. Sensorality is a property sale. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality scales property. What is T to L? Again, directly relating the steps. Sensorality scales properly to sensorality scales property. Sensorality is proper property. Natural definition, direct iteration. Speciality is a property of sensorality. Sensorality is a property of speciality. Direct iteration. So that's what I was kind of trailed off on, was our fundamental physical empirical reason that we have any axiom, and speciality is our complete axiom, is systems tending to optimal efficiency. So from that empirical fact, the operative word linguistically you get is efficiency. So what is the efficiency of differentiation? What is uniqueness to ordinality? Is everything new? Right? You wake up, it's always a new day. It's like, it's everything new. Infinite uniqueness. What is trade to scale? What is size to scale? Is potential dynamic? Sensorality is a unique dynamic. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is problematicality to organicality? Sensorality is an organic problem. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is organicality to thematicality? Sensorality is thematicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is thermaticality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Theme, thermal. What is organicality to dynamicality? Is organic unique? What is light to power? Something directly coming from, again, sitting here in Columbus, Ohio today is August 11th, had some thunderstorms and some lightning. And just directly, again, just thinking about the world around. Right, if there's a thunderstorm, you say the power goes out. Sensorality is a power outage. Natural definition, direct iteration, and that's the first step of, again, this AGE as a suffix, but it's a complete word, and it's an overall class, category, set of linguistic elements, things that end in age, signage, verbiage, outage. What is that? And that's what I was saying at the beginning, relating it to our last big form progression, is this co prefix. What is co as a prefix to age as a suffix? Is lightning charged? Is lightning discharged? Wanting to emphasize my own natural misspelling here, I always put lightening, like an E in there. Felt like a step to emphasize. Sensorality discharges lightning. Direct iteration. What is light to lightning? Is lightning scintillating? When you see lightning, what are you seeing? Sensorality is potential discharge. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is potential to displacement? What is potential to distance? What is lightning to electricity? What is potential to electricity? Sensorality is potential distance. Sensorality is potential damage. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is damage to drainage? All right, now we have damage, well-defined conceptually, but it doesn't break down to anything. Coalition, well-defined conceptually, doesn't really break down to anything. What is draining to straining? Sensorality strains, sensorality reigns. Direct iteration, strain, sore. Drainage, spillage. What is udge? Again, the suffix age to able. Right, we have ability and agility, able and udge. Sensorality is sensorage. Natural definition, direct iteration. But that elementality now produces sensorality is storage. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is storage ability. Sensorality is storageality. What is age to ability? Emphasizing the complete words in that step. And again, both of them act as complete suffixes. What is storage to shortage? Storage limits shortage. Direct iteration. What is shortage to outage? Sensorality is signage. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality ignores the signs. Direct iteration, emphasizing the IGN again. Sign, insignia. Sensorality is insigniality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is insignia? To rank. Again, conceptually, power exponent, and then we have this word rank as well. It kind of hangs around conceptually. Insignias are signage, direct iteration. What is signage? To verbiage. What is verbiage? To adage. So now adage, again, doesn't really break down to anything, trying to emphasize this elementality. Again, these are like these words. I made a reference way back when and I said like class is a word that just like feels like different. Like adage is just like, again, prefix and suffix. Sensorality is an adage, natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is an old adage, natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing that OD in the word old. Is an old adage vintage? So now this is another word where it strikes you like, oh, vintage, that's a suffix, right? Is vintage unique? Is adage unique? What is vintage to valence? What is vintage to relevance? What is relevance to influence? Sensorality is porridge. And so now from that adage specifically, but this age suffix, that elementality again progresses to porridge. Sensorality is a ridge. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is a ridge an edge? Are ridges rigid? Direct iteration. What is rigidity to fluidity? Fluidity is smooth. Natural definition, again, movement, geometrically, the spacing is a bigger word than motion, but conceptually, what is the uniqueness between movement and motion? Smooth movement is motion. When you have things timed, in timing, in synchronicity, moving in rhythm of discrete independent things, that produces fluidity, that produces flow. Are fluids influential? Is filtration influential? Direct iteration. Sensorality drinks plenty of fluids. Direct iteration. Sensorality is substantial fluidity. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is fluidity to influentiality? Sensorality is fluentiality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is entity to identity? What is entity to property? What is beration to deliberation? Direct iteration, again emphasizing this D to B kind of flipping relationship as like a sandwich. And overall, almost certainly the consonants are iterating around the vowels. Because again, this fundamental relationship between E and A and E, that I'm almost certain, again, this is the part I can directly look up. I can look up all of these stuff, but I'm not looking up literally anything. Again, profound and extensive crime continues to be committed. It wouldn't be even easy for me to do so. Deliberation is contemplation. Natural definition. Sensorality is the template of liberation. Natural definition, direct iteration. Contemplation thinks. What is contemplation to consideration? Consideration sides. Direct iteration, again, consideration has the word side directly in there. Sensorality is considerable. Sensorality is considerability. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is judgment to consideration? Emphasizing that DGE sequence, we just had udge and then judge. What is judgment to adage? Direct iteration. Sensorality is a badge. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is badge to bondage? So at the beginning of this episode, I was going to say another fun word, but it's like, again, directly in our derivation, what is a bond to bondage? Right? Is bondage censored? Literally go start typing in the word bondage on Google and nothing will pop up. Why is that? And again, legitimately, why is that not like a bond? Right? If I go on the stock market and I buy stocks and bonds, if I have verbs and I have verbiage, why don't I have bonds and bondage? But again, not die, reproduce, think. If you don't know what you're talking about, you talk about sex. It is unavoidable. And it's funny. But again, just emphasizing bond and bondage. And then again, this fermions can't stack on fermions. It's already well defined what bondage is. Bondage is bounding. Again, emphasizing the logic. If you are bounded, or you have bondage. What is a bond to bondage? That syllability produced donde and onde, like where in Spanish and Portuguese. Sensorality is the age of a ship. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing, again, we're showing this complete form of language. So sensorality is just this form thing. Age is a suffix, ship is a suffix, but it produces a complete conceptualization. Sensorality is the age of a ship. Super general, complete, makes sense. Just emphasizing everything that we can. Because again, definitions are definite. This does run out. Sensorality is a collage. Natural definition, direct iteration. And now we have this co prefix and our suffix -age with a well-defined word. Sensorality is a collage. Sensorality coagulates. Direct iteration. What is coagulation to vibration? What is coagulation to continuation? Sensorality is collegiate. Sensorality is collegiality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is collegiality to cordiality? What is collegiality to joviality? What is collegiality to legality? Right, our co-eds, college, but collegiality, again, legality without the I is legality. What is a cord to a bond? Direct iteration. Again, R completes the N, B, the next element is C. Sensorality is cordiality. Sensorality is chordality. So now that's a direct, it's not our complete reduced form, but again, it shows us emotion to motion, domain/range to base. Cordiality, that's emotional. Again, like you get what I'm saying. Sensor, because again, if you said, that's another part of analysis, right? If you said people, you can prove emotions, people then think like this like super like complete sentimental thing, and it's just like, if you said somebody's being cordial with you, you're talking about an emotional interaction. Just emphasizing again these steps of analysis that are directly proven literal. And again, on a direct personal level, I'm deriving all of the stuff, but it's the same level of rigor as if like I went into school and didn't know stuff when I was in high school, and then you learn stuff, and then you have this awareness that it's completely true. I learned it, and it's like rigorous. Like the what people say is like, again, you get the word rigor in math class, where it's like your proof has to be rigorous, but rigor to me is a feeling, and it's like for sure it's again. The best way to describe it is you go into math class, you don't know something, you think about something, you have this personal internal learning process, and then it's completely validated outside in the world. And again, it's not like some political statement, it's not some sort of historical religious statement, it's just like 1 + 1 = 2. That's right, force equals mass times acceleration. And then you personally understand it, and then you have this, again, this neutral, non-emotional, non-biased, like validation of empirical evidence, science, right? Measurement, facts. And so emotional levels of these steps of emotion are still, again, just as rigorous on a direct personal level, and then the society just hasn't seen analysis before. It's just such a relevant step to presenting this information. Just emphasizing cordiality to chordality is emotion to motion completely. What is a chord to a card? And then another good way, again, is we've used the example a bunch, but if someone were, like, if you can have an entire class of people not understanding calculus, that doesn't make calculus not correct in any way, shape, or form. And at a societal, sociological level, people understand that. You can go into math class, everyone just gets Fs, and calculus is still completely a real thing, right? But then if you do a proof that is not acknowledged in society, it's just, people just like devolve into the most primitive behaviors immediately. Weirdest shit ever. What is a chord to a card? What is a chord to a sensor? Sensorality is according. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is assorting according. Natural definition, direct iteration. Obviously emphasizing the S and the C, this double consonants element thing, especially, essentially, we've pointed it out a bunch. Sensorality sorts chords, direct iteration. Sensorality holds all the cards, direct iteration. Again, emphasizing we're still just conceptually connecting cliches, because we have this linguistic structure that really just scales up and down specificity, generality. It is what it is the total differential of anything you can say, and now we're making our total differential specific enough to articulate a solution. What is a sensor? But all of this logic, this conceptualization that is not unique, realization is not new or unique, is just already out there in the wild. We just have to connect our pieces, our fundamental elements being the syllable, and we just have to ask the right question, have the right conceptual progress, which is time dependent, and then the linguistics is trivial. So that is just where I finished up with the derivation for right now. My rights continue to be violated profoundly and extensively. It directly affects my ability to work. I directly have profoundly impactful, the most impactful historical manuscripts ever. Just sitting here chilling, just complete destruction of property. Continue to ask for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. My rights are violated, my health is destroyed, and I'm in a community that can't care. I emphasize it every day because it's true, and I just really don't get how it's possible. But I do get how it's possible, is nobody has the maturity to care. It's not that they don't want to, it's they can't. It's just like we've never developed our emotional understanding of anything. No awareness of, again, the law is broken, let's do something about that. Nope, everyone's just following false authority day in and day out. I continue to ask for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. That is what I have for now. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.